You good?
It's uploading right now. One more minute.
Okay, you're all set, Chair.
We're gonna take testimony from anyone wishing to provide it at this moment, not provide it at this time. And then when we finish the testimony, we're gonna close the public meeting and then we're gonna have to fight and stuff. Okay. So if we first, before we get to that part, would you please call the roll? So we know who's here.
Chairwoman Caldwell,
Here.
Ms. Guzman.
Here.
Mr. Oates, not here. Mr. Trotman.
Here.
Mr. Blankford.
Here.
Ms. Fosco.
Here.
Mr. Most.
Here.
Mr. Rothkin.
Here.
Mr. Van Dunk, not here.
Thank you.
You have a quorum. Notwithstanding that you have a quorum, you still need 5 votes. It's not just a majority of who's here. You need 5 votes to pass a guideline this evening. Okay? You're welcome.
At this time, I will recognize anyone wishing to address this board this evening.
There's a sign sheet, I don't know if you want to call it next.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm really good. Let's just stop with Dan. I won't try to pronounce it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel Kazanowski. I work for Renaissance Management Group, which manages Sleepy Hollow Garden and Old Lang Turnpike, Spring Valley. Prior to the last 2 years, when this board awarded us with modest increases, there was a rent freeze for over 5 years in Rockland County. Even with the increases over the last 2 years, the 10-year average remains around 1%, well below the inflation rate that we have experienced. If you add up all the increases over the last 9 years for the 1-year lease, you get 8%. CPI, Consumer Price Index, is at 30%. The Social Security COLA increases is at 31%. Unfortunately, since COVID, we've even had a greater increase in our expenses. Our buildings, by nature of the fact that they are rent stabilized, are 50+ years old. There are critical building systems, such as boiler rooms and roofs, that are in need of replacement and repairs. My company has been to many rent stabilized board meetings, and over we hear tenants complaining about the lack of services that their management companies are providing. The previous board is the one that, in my opinion, enabled these complaints to take place. By not increasing the income in line with expenses, you have hereby forced landlords to reduce the services that they provide, and ultimately, the tenants are paying the price. If we would have stuck with modest increases throughout the time period, we would not have been in the situation. Currently, our in-place average rents for our 1-bedroom units are at $1,450, and the current market rents for such units would be $2,100. We have spent over, since we purchased the property in 2019, we've spent over $275,000 in boiler upgrades and well over $100,000 in gutter and roof replacements. This past winter was a very tough one. We spent over $30,000 in salt, in expenses in moving the snow. We've had a lot of issues with the roofs, which many homeowners and everyone experienced with this has come with a tremendous burden. There is, besides for these repairs, there's basic repairs such as all the walkways, keep them safe, all the pointing and masonry work that has to get done. In short, we are not slumlords who, if the rent freeze, are essentially the service freeze. But it's not fair that every other local business can increase their income in line with expenses, and we unfortunately have to, we were operating with our hands tied behind our back. My employees, the maintenance workers, property managers, they're demanding more money, they're demanding an increase in their salaries, and it's only fair that they should get it the same way our tenants are. I understand that some people are having a hard time, but many people are making more money than they have in the past. It doesn't make sense that the rents should be the same. I'm hoping that this board doesn't continue to let the expenses surpass the income even more, and continue to force landlords to increase the quality and service that they can provide. There's another phenomenon that I'm witnessing, that people, by nature of the fact that their rents are so low, they're keeping their apartments as secondary homes and they're not moving out. And this is causing a tremendous burden on the housing stock in this community. I hope that this board continues to do the right thing and gives us a modest increase, and even on top of that, some type of catch up for all the years that there was a rent freeze. Have a good evening.
Your company's name.
Renaissance Management Group.
Only doing first names, Tim.
Yes, Tim's a very easy.
Okay, Tim.
Good evening. So my name is Tim Foley. I'm the CEO of the Building and Realty Institute. We're a real estate trade association with members in Westchester, Rockland, and Putnam counties. On behalf of our members, we appreciate your thorough review of the data, the statistics, the overall economic picture in this orderly public process. Although we currently only represent some market rate property owners in Rockland, we represent a large number of owners of rent stabilized units in Westchester and participate in those public hearings each year. And as such, I regularly review the cost and expense reports for our peer counties, including here in Rockland, as well as Nassau, to see how we're stacking up. Last year, this board broke from what had been a long-running trend of passing increases at or close to a rent freeze. You passed instead an increase that was roughly commensurate with the amount of expenses had gone up the preceding year. I understand that was a difficult choice for many of you, but I think the results from the property owners survey show it was definitely the right one. At the time you took the vote last year, the 15 properties excluding Regency Village had demonstrated negative cash flow 4 years in a row. This year is unfortunately number 5, as expenses for those properties have risen by about the same amount as last year's precedent-breaking rent increase. The reports from HCR show that expenses went up 10% for 2024 to 2025, excluding interest and depreciation, and 4.5%, including those categories. More on that in a minute. And as you have also seen in the report, oil and gas alone, just to take one statistic, increased 38.5% for those 15 properties. And I will remind you that that is from 2025, when the Iran war hadn't begun and oil prices hadn't gone crazy. As I have testified in past years, it's not a secret what happens when the increases granted by this board do not come close to matching the demonstrated increase in expenses. Most expense increases are not optional for the property. You can't argue with property taxes, utilities, labor, particularly when a collective bargaining agreement is involved, or fuel, especially during the winter. What is discretionary up to a point is maintenance. You've heard testimony over the years as to what happens next. Maintenance gets deferred or downgraded. You patch the elevator rather than replacing it. On vacancy, the most you do is put spackle on the wall and a coat of paint rather than fixing it up. And you postpone for the umpteenth time upgrading the drafty windows until you can afford to pay for them, even though each winter it's literally more money out the window. Doubtlessly, you've also heard from tenants on this as well. Sure, their rent has barely gone up most years, but when are the repairs going to be done? So if there is a bright spot on the difficult choice to provide a reasonable rent increase last year, even with the pervasive concerns about affordability for individuals, is that it seems to have worked based on those reports. What I mean is if the goal was to jumpstart long neglected repairs rather than just pad the margins on these buildings, the numbers suggest that's exactly what happened. First, the percentage change in expenses shows that the line item for repairs and maintenance jumped 61.6%. I have not seen an increase that high anywhere else in the state among rent stabilized properties. And I've not seen an increase that large in other similar sectors of the housing market, like the subsidized affordable housing sector, which we have many members, which has also begun to struggle with operating expenses and financing repairs. Second, that increase in repairs has not been attended by an increase in interest on loans. One of the concerns I have mentioned in past years was it looked like what little repairs were being done were being financed by debt because they couldn't be financed by low operating income. And the Housing Stability and Tenant Protection Act had undermined some of the other avenues that property owners had used before it to finance repairs, particularly on vacant apartments. Instead, this year, interest costs are one of the areas that decreased year over year, which is honestly a welcome sign. Third, although last year's rent increase was high compared to recent trends, the cash flow position of these properties has not dramatically improved. In neither the report, including Regency Village, nor the report without it, did the cash flow as a percentage of income go up. And in fact, in both cases, it still went down by a percentage point with Regency Village and by 2.5 points without it. Well, what does that mean? It means property owners didn't pocket the increase as profit or use it to improve their net operating income or cost to income ratio. They put it back into the buildings. They did what they were supposed to do and what you hope they would do when you pass that increase. Based on the cost to income ratio, these buildings are still in pretty rough shape financially. And the increase in repairs was doubtlessly insufficient to clear out years of impact. I believe the first year's experiment was successful in staunching the bleeding, at least for now. The reports you received from HCR say that total expenses increased year over year by around 4.5%. So tonight, I would urge you to come as close as possible to simply match it in terms of a one-year increase, so that the reinvestment in these buildings can continue to the benefit of owners and tenants alike. Thank you.
Sir,
Norman?
Norman, I think she's calling you.
Good evening. I'm Norman Hammond, and I live in Regency Village. Regency Village first building opened in 1964, so they've been around for about 60 years altogether. There's about 576 units within Regency Village. And currently, we have a large foreign-born population. For the past year, maybe year and a half, we have not had a property manager on the premises. And we have 8 union supers, but we've only had 7 working for the past year or so because one of them unfortunately got cancer and died. Over the years, consequently, because maintenance wasn't kept up to par, so to speak, there's a lot of units that have peeling paint. There's a lot of broken blinds in the bedroom and living room windows, and there's old carpets that are old and moldy and need to be replaced. And consequently, the place has deteriorated over the past years because maintenance has not kept up the way that it should be kept up. And in addition to that, we have a lot of people that live there that are senior citizens, and some are disabled people that are experienced. So if the board could place all the rents within a fair range to accommodate these problems, I would appreciate it. Speaking for Regency Village. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Condon. I'm an attorney here in the county. I represent several landlords in Rockland County, and I was fortunate enough to appear before you last year, and I appreciate the opportunity to do so again this year. Tim and Daniel stole a lot of my thunder with regards to not only the unfortunate rent freezes that the landlords in the counties have been experiencing in calendar year 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And then there were some small 0.5% increases in 21 and 22, and then back to zero in 2023. There was a modest 2% increase in 24, and last year, it's appreciated. It was a 5% increase for 1 year and 6% 2 year. We would like to see that again, and I'll tell you why. Not only are expenses increasing, but the gentleman from Recency Village said that maintenance is suffering. Well, my clients have maintenance staff of 5 individuals, and 3 of them asked for raises last year, and we were able to give them raises because of this board, in relevant part, the increase that they gave us, so we could give our workers the raise that they deserve. The year before, we lost 2 employees because they wanted raises, and their money wasn't there. They gave them the raises they needed. So they went actually into the healthcare industry and left us, and unfortunately not able to service our tenants. So we're not looking to put more money in the landlord's pocket. What we're looking for is to at least recoup. The insurance costs last year were up 22%. My client's utilities costs went up 30%. And in one of my clients' apartments, they pay the utilities. That's not a cost that is shared to the tenants. That comes out of their pockets and ultimately affects their ability to maintain their employees and to maintain the property. My client's rent stabilization goes for around $1,200. On free market, that would go for between $2,500 and $3,000. And one of the gentlemen said, we were experiencing it now, there are residents that take advantage of the privilege that is afforded of the rent stabilization. They're renting out their rent stabilized apartments and living in houses in other parts of not only Rockland, but Orange County. So not only is it increasing or decreasing the inventory for people that really need the rent stabilization, but it's kind of fucking the system. They're taking advantage and lining their pockets at the landlord's expense. It's not fair. The landlords are not seeking any unfair raise. We're just looking for a reasonable raise to kind of counterbalance those years in 18, 19, 20, 21, where we got zero. And as Daniel stated, the Social Security COLA increases over the past 9 years were 31%. Social Security was 8.7% in 2023. The Consumer Price Index in 2023 was 4.1%. Our increase in 2023 was 0. So this is not keeping up with the Joneses. This is trying to catch up to the Joneses because we've been at such a disadvantage for so long. And again, we do appreciate your time and the efforts that you've taken and the consideration that you do on this board. We would respectfully ask that you reconsider and consider what you did last year to try to make up for what we've done in the past and to give these landlords a shot to maintain their units the way that they would like to. Thank you.
Thank you. Here. Public hearing. Thank you. And let me just say, because I could not pronounce Daniel's last name, that's why I couldn't call it by the first name. I tried to be fair in terms of pronunciation. But I thank you all for your tolerance and your patience. And we appreciate you having come out to state your position. And unless you have something that you'd like to add at this time, we will second? It's been properly moved and second. Close the public hearing. All in favor? It's a unanimous vote. Thank you. Okay, all of you. You want to effectively propose the name. Zachary Rockland. Again, this is Zachary Rockland. We heard from the public and we very much appreciate the public coming and voicing their opinions. It's very important that we use the public's data in arriving at our decisions, not getting emotional about things and using the data. Because that's what the law, that's what the statute, section 4 of the ETPA, Emergency Tenant Protection Act of 1974 requires this board by law to do. So we very much appreciate the public doing that. We heard from members of the public, we heard from DHCR, we received data, and what that data has shown, I would just like to point a few things out here. Number one, we heard today that the Social Security polling increases have gone up 31%, going back about 8 years, while at the same time, the stabilized increases, 1 year increase was about 8%, 2 years average about 10%, not average, I'm sorry, added up to 10% and added up to 80%. So even adding up, it doesn't even come close to it by about 20%. Over the last 5 years, over the last 20 years, okay, let's look big picture here. Over the last 20 years, the annual average guideline increase was 1.36% for a 1 year. Okay, over the last 15 years, not even 1%, 0.95%. Over the last 10 years, 0.8%. The last 5 years was 1.6%, which is not a lot. And remember, that was skewed by last year being the first meaningful increase in a long time at 5%. So as somebody very artfully put before, we're not playing keeping up with the Joneses, we're playing catching up with the Joneses. The cost to income ratio and the data given to us by DHCR shows that including interest and depreciation, this is the highest over the last year that it's ever been. It's at 102.58%, which means that buildings are operating at a loss, okay? And that's 115% for 15 buildings, including the REITs. When you exclude interest and depreciation, it's at 68.36%, which is the highest ever except for one time in 2008, which was the global financial crisis. Okay, and remember that was almost 20 years ago. Okay, one point that was made that really resonated, I strongly encourage the board to think very deeply about this, is we all know that last year was the first time that we implemented a meaningful increase for the first time basically ever of this board, okay, at 5% for 1 year. And as the public has mentioned, the expenditures for repairs and maintenance in Rockland County rent stabilized housing was up 61.6%. Okay, that's the highest that Mr. Foley had mentioned, who sees housing in many parts of this area, not just in Rockland County. He testified that he hasn't seen that anywhere. So what we're doing by giving meaningful increases in rent is we're passing this on to the tenants. Okay,
So when we give a meaningful increase in rent, it's very clear that this money is not going into the owner's pockets. It's going into the tenants' apartments, it's going into the buildings, it's helping the housing, because there's so much catching up to do. And the numbers which we are required by law to consider and to follow make it very clear that when we give meaningful increases, we will see meaningful repairs and maintenance in the buildings, okay? And we've heard from so many nice folks who come here, take time out of their day and testify and give us their experiences, and the numbers say they're finally getting what they've been asking for all these years. So we need to keep those numbers up and give meaningful increases for 1 and 2 year guidelines. Fuel went up from negative 21.9 to 38.5, according to the data. I mean, that is just through the roof. Okay, you saw what the winter looked like last year. You see what the gas prices are like now. This is real money that owners have to spend for the benefits of their tenants. This doesn't go to their pockets. I would recommend that we keep the momentum that we did last year in implementing increases which go straight to tenants' repairs. And we do even better than 5% for a 1 year last year. And that we increase it to 7% for a 1 year increase this year. Are we just discussing 1 year? Or are we doing 2 years? Okay, so my recommendation is that the board entertain a 7% increase for a 1 year guideline increase and an 8.5% for a 2 year.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Is there a second?
There's a second.
Yeah,
So you have to say your name. According to.
I'm Adam Blackford. I'm a public member of this board. And I do agree with a lot of what Zach just said and what we've heard, and I thank everybody for their time. I do believe, the best way to preserve affordable housing is to ensure that the owners have the ability to properly maintain their buildings. And I do believe from seeing the data we've seen that it worked last year. And I think doing even a modest increase over that to what was just proposed sounds very reasonable to me.
Properly second. There is a motion on the floor for a vote to be taken on discussion. There's a motion to approve 7% for 1 year, 8.5% for 2 years. Is there any discussion? Anyone have any concerns?
My name is Kim Foxview. I'm an tenant rep. I personally think those are a little high. I have seen the data and I agree that, they made the progress and the repairs made. I asked that question to Mr. Norman last week, and he said he has seen some repairs. I appreciate that, but I also think one thing, like SSI benefits are up and, we go all of that, but we didn't know about inflation. Inflation is also up and we all feel inflation. We all feel the gas prices and all are being affected by the war in Iran, which Mr. Foley mentioned. And everything. So, and if I may ask you a personal question, Mr. Norman.
Yes.
Do you pay an O&R bill? Is that included in your rent?
No, we all have to pay our own.
So we are all feeling that. It's not, yes, the owners feel it. They got to gas, heat up the hallways and all of that, light up the hallways. But, all of our O&R bills are through the roof. Especially after last winter, when how rough it was. So I think those are, high for my case.
Anyone else? Anyone else having anything that I can part at this time?
No, I would just add that's a very good point that you're raising about the inflation and fuel costs that everybody's feeling. Let's remember that to make almost every repair in a building requires fuel. You pay for the equipment to get there. You pay for the gas to operate the equipment, and basically everything has fuel in it. So with the increase in fuel means that it makes it harder and harder to do the repairs, which makes it all the more important to follow the data and show that the increase.
Anyone else? There's no further comments being made, we can take a vote. On the 1 year of 7%, all in favor? One against? On the 1 year, 7%. As you said, you have to have a minimum of 5.
We need a minimum of 5.
Out of majority.
No.
That is, no,
No.
not the majority, it's the majority of your board of 9. It doesn't matter. If only 5 people showed up tonight, we would still need 5.
We before the
Wait, that.
You have a board of 9.
2 people on?
The law
2 people are
requires,
not here.
No, we're not. All right. So the 7% has been defeated. Is there another?
Chair, if we could, I know we took a poll, a raising hand. We are taking a transcript tonight, so if we could just restate the individual votes for the record.
Oh, okay, all right, I didn't know you needed that, okay,
Thank you.
okay, for the 7%, 2 of you, would you please state your name and maybe poll.
Maybe quote.
Yeah,
I can do a roll.
okay. Mark.
Mr. Rothkin,
Favor.
Mr. Blankfurt, Ms. Guzman, Mr. Troutman, Ms. Fosco, Mr. Most, Ms. Caldwell. Fails 2 to 5.
Should we do the 7, I'm sorry, do the 1 year?
That was for the 7. So for the 8.5, which is also part of the motion.
On a motion to approve an 8.5% increase for a 2-year lease. Would you please call the roll so that I can vote?
Mr. Rothkin,
I'm in favor.
Mr. Blankfurt, Ms. Guzman, Mr. Troutman, Ms. Fosco, Mr. Most,
Not in favor.
and Ms. Caldwell. Motion fell 2 to 5.
Anyone on this board?
Well, sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead.
For the reasons I already stated, and in addition, I believe again, and I keep calling you out, Mr. Norman. But you mentioned last week that they're required to have renter's insurance. And if you have renter's insurance through your landlord, it's $15 a month, right?
That's correct.
Which equals $180 a year. So I understand. I'm sorry.
You can't.
You don't
can't
have-
have-
Okay.
I apologize. I
Yeah.
caused that.
Public hearing.
I'm sorry, I caused that, I apologize. So, I just looked at it, because I had it on my paperwork, but, so anyway, so renters being charged $15 a month. If they're being required to have renters insurance, and if they have it through their, owner, for lack of a better word, it's $15 a month they're being charged. That's $180 a year. So I understand, like, in business, you're trying to that's, I know insurance went up, somebody said 23 point something percent. I know insurance went up. So, but for the reasons I stated, plus, $180 a year, I would recommend a 1% for 1 year and a 2%. Yes, that's my motion.
Your second.
Moving Troutman on 7.
Please call the roll.
Sure, let me just restate the resolution. Correct me if I'm wrong at any point. Motion to establish maximum allowable rent guideline adjustments for leases commencing on or after October 2026 and on or before September 30th, 2027 for all apartments within the board's jurisdiction. in the amount of 1% for 1-year leases and 2% for 2-year leases.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call. Ms. Fosco,
Yes.
Mr. Trotman,
Yes.
Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Mr. Blankford,
No.
Mr. Most,
No.
Mr. Rothkin,
No.
Ms. Caldwell. Motion fails 3-4. Pardon? 3-4 it failed.
No, that
No,
was,
I did both of them at the same time. I apologize.
We should vote again.
Mhm. Sure did. Read it all together.
Okay. All right. For the record.
Just Ms. Foster, you mentioned before, renters and tenants, it sounded like what you were saying, that $50 goes to the owner. I believe the way tenants work from my experience, in New York, is that tenants purchase a policy for renters insurance. That money doesn't go to the owner. It goes to the private insurance.
First of all, you tell them the insurance is for the tenants protection. Their personal items, yes, not the building. That has nothing to do with respect to number of years. This is just their own personal items. Look.
No.
Then they're.
I assume it was an administrative thing, so it's not, okay,
Nothing to do.
okay, thank you, thank you.
They're both for. Speak up, name.
Gordon Yost. I think that there are two different approaches that one can take. Yes. I think there are two different approaches that one can take in trying to figure out if there should be an increase and how much the increase should be. The first approach is the statistics, which my colleague clearly delineated very clearly, as well as some people from the public, that from a statistical approach, there's no question that everything has gone up dramatically. However, I'm more of a practical type guy. I happen to be one of those people. I go shopping for my wife. Please do not tell too many people. And when I go to this, and I also happen to be in charge of a school where we buy items that are used in the school, whether it's cleaning supplies, which everyone uses, whether it's paper, whether it's pens, electricity, gas, all those different things. And from a practical perspective, there's no question that everything has gone up. When I worked in commodities many years ago, I supplied aluminum to the car company. And the way the car companies work is they would sit down with you and they would say, we want to know how much money you're making. And we had to open our books for them to show them. And when we showed them, they said, okay, make this much profit. So I joked with him, I said, you know, why are you letting us make any profit at all? So his answer to me was, if we don't let you make a profit, you will not be in business and we will lose a supplier. And that is not good for business. I think that for us to impose upon the landlords something that is not good for business is detrimental to the tenants. And therefore, I would like to propose a 5.25% increase for 1 year and a 6.25% increase for 2 years.
For a second. Gotta tell him. They can record every.
Zachary Rothkin said.
Properly moved and second. Clerk, please call the roll on motion to increase 5.25 for 1 year and 6.25 for 2.
Mr. Most,
Favor.
Mr. Rothkin, Ms. Guzman, Mr. Trotman, Mr. Blankfurt, Ms. Fosco, Ms. Caldwell,
In favor.
motion fails. 4-3. Or sorry, 3-4. Got that backwards. 3 noes, 4 yeses, 4-3. Still fails. You need to have 5.
They make the- or then- Yeah, I'll vote.
Okay, so we recognize.
Fine, I'll let you make a proposal, 1 year distance. 4% and 2-year distance.
Is there a second?
Can I make a statement? For the proposal? Add one. I do believe we saw what the overall positive outcome for the last year, and it clearly worked to see more money going into repairs and maintenance, and therefore, since we saw work last year, I would make a motion to just repeat the same 5% increase on 1 year and 6% on 2 years.
For a second. Properly moved in second. Would you please call roll on the proposal for 5% for 1 year and 6% for 2?
Mr. Blankfurt, Mr. Mose, Ms. Guzman, Mr. Trotman, Ms. Fosco, Mr. Rothkin, Ms. Caldwell. Motion passes 5-2.
Here,
Second piece.
5%. And on a 2 year, 6%. And the motion passed on
5-2. Further, it passed 5-2. Before you leave, the explanatory statement was, provided to the board. And I would like to have a motion, as you did last year, for it to be accepted here and for the chairperson to, sign the certification this evening. So I can read the motion, and if somebody would kindly make the motion, or I can hand it to you and you can read it.
I have a question for council.
Sure.
Just want to clarify that according to the wording in this explanatory statement, wasn't the event guidelines for leases. This will apply to both renewal leases as well as vacancies.
Yes. It has every year since 2019.
Yeah, so,
Okay. You want me to give it to you to read?
oh no, I so moved to.
Accept the explanatory
As the chair
statement? Okay. Move to adopt the explanatory statement and findings in the form submitted by DHCR staff to the board on June 24th, 2026, and to be modified by DHCR staff to reflect this evening's adopted rental adjustments and voting record for tonight's meeting. Further motion to direct DHCR staff to send the final explanatory statement to the Deputy Commissioner of DHCR's Office of Rent Administration on or before July 1st, 2026, as required by ETPA Section 4. And a second?
Is there a second?
Second.
Welcome.
Second, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you very much for your.
Did you get my text?
Yes. You want to do that?